Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaRakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This is Paya Allah of the GMS London camp, and it's a biblical commentary in the book of Luke, the 4th chapter, and it reads, And Yahushua, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan, and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he did eat nothing. And when they were ended, he afterward hungered. Alright, so he basically was taken into the wilderness by the Spirit, where he fasted for 40 days, and in that period, he was tempted of Satan. Alright, so it goes on to say this. It says, And the devil said unto him, If thou be the Son of Man, command this stone that it be made bread. Alright. So he said, look, you got some powers, or some spiritual power. You're hungry. Just turn these stones into bread. But the Lord said, Yahweh answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of Yahweh. Okay, so he basically cut the devil by the use of the law. So for the Christians out there talking about the law's done away with, the Lord used that as his surety in that time, his sword basically, to cut Satan in that predicament. And that's why it says in Matthew the 5th chapter that the Lord came Yahweh came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill every word. Alright? Verse 5, it says, And the devil taking him up into an high mountain showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Right, so he had them pass before him. So he would have seen this kingdom. He would have seen, even the time of the Dark Ages, all these various kingdoms that had that were on the earth, but they were given over to Satan. Alright, so it says, verse 6, And the devil said unto him, All this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will give it. I give it. Alright, and that's how you get entertainers, athletes, and different people, lesser luminaries of this kingdom, that basically get a slice of that pie, the devil's pie. Alright, because they basically have to go before him and submit themselves unto him, and then he will bless them with a piece of the pie. So it says, If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine. And Yahweh answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. Alright? So he basically rebuked Satan. Alright? And that's what you gotta do in that predicament. You gotta rebuke Satan. It tells you in the book of Jude when Satan and I believe it was Michael were disputing over the body of Moses, that Satan was trying to take the Moses' body. Alright? But Michael said to him, The Most High rebuked thee. That he made no railing allegation, but just said the Most High rebuked thee. Right? So it's showing you that's the power. Right? Utilize the names and basically, rebuke when needed, alright, in these times. And Yahweh is showing a great example. Alright, and he brought him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said unto him, If thou be the Son of the Most High, cast thyself down from hence, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee. Right, and he says, and in their hands shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Alright, and it shows you that the devil basically knows the scriptures. Alright, because he's utilizing the law in it himself now. Alright, so it says, And Yahweh answered and said unto him, It is it is said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. And that's very simple, because why is he got to jump off the pinnacle of the temple? Why has he got to do that? Just to prove a point? No, you don't have to do that. So, reading on verse 13, and when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. Right, so that even shows you that this is, you're going to be tempted of Satan seasonally, all right? Because new level, new devil, all right? And he passed that level, so he had a new devil to present itself. And as you can see here, he said, he said, get thee behind me, Satan. Why do those words sound so familiar? Because he told Peter those same words. He said, get thou behind me, Satan. So that shows you that Satan didn't just disappear and never disturb him ever again, but he jumped on those around him. All right, he presented himself in different situations and scenarios. All right. So verse 13, and when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. And Yahushua returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee. Salakia. And Yahushua returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. Right, so his name was ringing bells, okay? And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me, right, to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind. Okay, and to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Okay, which basically he's speaking of himself. Okay, he's fulfilling his prophecy when he's speaking of it, right? In the book of Isaiah. Because as you know, the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so that's the main thing that needs to take place, the fulfillment of prophecy. So this is verse 20. It says, and he closed the book, and he gave it again to the minister, and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say unto them, this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears. Right? So he even made it plain. He said, look, it's fulfilled. Said, and all bear him witness, and wondered at the gracious words which proceeded out of his mouth. And they said, is not this Joseph's son? All right, showing you that they didn't look at him to be the Lord, the anointed, to be sent forth to deliver them, because they knew him as what? Joseph's son. All right. But as it's known that, a prophet doesn't get fame in his own country or among his own family. And why is that? Because of their intimate relationship, they can't see that there's a block for them to really see the spirit that's upon him, all right, upon you, or really dealing with Yahushua upon him, all right. So verse 23, and he said unto them, ye will surely say unto me this proverb, physician, heal thyself, whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. And he said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. All right, and you can see that it happened, right? But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. But unto none of them was Elias sent, save unto Sarepta, a city of Sidon, onto a woman that was a widow. All right. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elias the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, saving Naaman the Syrian. Right. So basically, it shows you, look, at this time there was plenty. When the widow was basically taken care of, when the Naaman was basically healed as well. Guess what? There's loads of other people that could have had that same healing. All right. Not sorry. Let me not say it like that. There was many other people that needed healing as well, but they didn't get healed. All right. And all day in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath. All right, because he cut them. He's saying that, look, you're steady over there thinking I'm a nobody, but there'll be a time where you want me to do the things that you've heard me do in other countries in terms of healing, different places in terms of healing. But you don't understand that, look, all the people that got healed in the past, there was still loads of people that were messed up, man. And he more or less alluded to them being in that same stead. So verse 29, and rose up and thrust him out of the city, and led him onto the brow of a hill whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. So they wanted to kill him. They wanted to fling him off a cliff. All right. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. But he managed to wrestle his way back through them to get up through the midst of them. And that's some spiritual power, basically. He maneuvered, cut through the crowd, and made his way out. Right, so it says, and came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. All right, so they were astonished. All right. And they saw the power in his word. And in the synagogue there was a man which had a spirit of an unclean devil, and cried out with a loud voice, saying, let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Yahushua of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of Yahweh. All right. And Yahushua rebuked him, saying, hold thy peace and come out of him. And when the devil had thrown him in the midst, he came out of him and hurt him not. And they were all amazed, and spake among themselves, saying, what a word is this? For with authority and power he commandeth the unclean spirits, and they come out. All right? So they witnessed his spiritual power. And guess what? The testimony of Yahushua had spirit prophecy, because he told them of his country, his countrymen, his kinsmen, that, look, you're going to hear me in Capernaum do certain things, and, and he's basically doing them, right? That's why it says this, and the fame of him went out into every place of the country round about. And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house, and Simon's wife's mother was taken with a great fever, and they besought him for her, all right? And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her, and immediately she rose again and ministered unto him. So that shows you the fever is a demon, all right? That basically Yahushua cast off of that woman, all right? Sorry, off of Simon's mother-in-law, basically. Simon Peter's mother-in-law. Verse 40, now when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with diverse diseases brought them unto him, and he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. And the devils also came out of many, crying out, saying, thou art Hamashiach, which means anointed or the anointed in Hebrew, of the Son of the Most High. And he, rebuking them, suffered them not to speak, for they knew that he was the anointed. All right, so they knew he was the anointed. The demons, all right, showing you the devil knows that they got their form of knowledge as well. Just like these elites, they're aware of certain things because of what the devils let them know. All right. And when it was day, he departed and went into a desert place, and the people saw him and came unto him and stayed him, and he that he should not depart from them. And he said unto them, I must preach